So I taught classes around this time, and I would teach all the students every year. I would give them AOL and watch how you go into chat rooms and find people that are strangers, and the amount of communication just explodes in your life. The number of strangers that you can meet but actually talk to, and you don't have to be afraid of a personal interaction. It was just amazing. You could download all these neat software, stuff. And, if you had an AOL account, download all the software you needed. You could research different news. You could get into groups of different types of education. There were places for parents, places for kids. What an incredible world was opening up.
And I think one of the things that's beautiful about the web is that it wastes time. And that we can bring that kind of playfulness back into that kind of hyperlink, let's see where it goes and I'll wander and get lost. And I think that's beautiful.
The question of anonymity in the web is a pretty interesting one. If you spend any time in political discussions or any kind of lifestyle discussion on the web, forums and postings and so on, you could see that the conversation typically degenerates to a very uncivil level quickly, particularly when and as the people who are posting are anonymous. You don't know who they really are. They lack accountability. People feel free to say whatever they want, and that's one downside to anonymity.
When you grow up expecting to be able to find information at a moment's notice, what does it do to your ability to internalize information? And the brain is very, very plastic, very malleable, but at a certain point, it does get wired up, and it gets wired up in a particular way. And so I look at my son, who's 8, and he asked me, my wife, when Michael Jackson passed away, my wife muttered something at the breakfast table about him being a criminal. And my son later asked me, was that true? And I said, well, the dilemma of explaining the difference between accusation and proof and so forth, we're going along in this conversation, and I say essentially no one knows, right? There were these questions, nothing was ever proven. And he looked at me and said, not even Wikipedia?
Well, when Bill Gates wrote his letter to the Homebrew Computer Club, upset that we were freely copying his BASIC that he'd spent all his time and energy working on, he was pointing out that a problem, which is the digital age unearthed the ability to copy things for no cost.
So it's evident to everybody that the web has been this incredible amplifier of weak ties, right? We have many, many more connections. People we knew, from high school or from college that we haven't seen in years, but somehow we're linked to in this way.
One of the reasons people are drawn to virtual communities like Second Life is people are hungry for community. They're hungry for meaning in a society that is oriented around the production and consumption of consumer goods. Buy more stuff. I mean, it doesn't make people happy. I know this sounds like a gross oversimplification, and in some ways it is. But when there's an alternative to be able to reach out and to find kindred spirits who have common interests or share a common perspective on life and to feel fulfilled by that, people will do that even if it is a somewhat low resolution version of reality. And I would call a virtual world like a very low res version of real reality. People are hungry for meaning, hungry for contact.
One time in my office, a gentleman came in, on this copyright issue. A gentleman came in and I was talking about, my gosh, you could almost get to the point you could put a movie on a card. He said, oh, someday you'll have a card and you'll have 500 movies on it. And I thought, that changes life as we know it. It changes the rules. If I have a card that's bits, ones and zeros, and I give you those ones and zeros, the digital age says a song is no longer music. A song is a collection of a billion numbers. If I give you those billion numbers, you've got it. It's so easy.
And that it quite literally delivers power to the people. It essentially opens up participation in the public sphere.
It's a new form of culture, and the culture will range from playfulness and inefficiency and just playing around to the most serious accomplishments and achievements of humanity. So it has the full range, and I think we should embrace that, the fact that it can be trivial, that the web can be a waste of time, that can it be nonsense, and at the same time, it's probably the greatest thing that we've ever done.